Hello, my beautiful soulmate friends and clients. This is Sabine Messner with Soul Purpose Branding, and I am coming to you today with an amazing, courageous emerge story. Some of you may know that I have this, the body of my work truly is the emerge program. It is a place of rebirthing and reinvention for emerging entrepreneurs, evolving entrepreneurs, and also established entrepreneurs. And sometimes, we disappear in our businesses. We disappear again in our sort of book writing process. We disappear in the body of our work that we have already sort of rolled out into the world. And so this Emerge program can be this amazing, powerful rescue place and reinvention and rebirth place, even if you are already enjoying an established coaching practice. So today I wanted to introduce you to my treasured client, Licia Berry. And Licia Berry recently went through the Emerge experience with me and a small group of other souls. And today we're talking about what's happened during the Emerge experience and ever since in her life and in her business. So firstly, thank you so much, Licia, for making yourself available to be with me on this video call.
Of course, my honor.
Thank you, thank you. And I'm going to just introduce you all to Licia Berry. So Licia Berry has been really a forerunner, and in so many ways, she has an extraordinary sort of spiritual Native American lineage, and has been in sort of like the spiritual entrepreneur space since 16 years. She started out in 2000. So everything that kind of like later on became a trend. So for example, the virtual living, the taking the family on the mobile lifestyle, with the LVs, the Berries have done that before there was kind of like the internet, that kind of thing. So that gives you an idea. All along, she's homeschooled her kids together with her spiritual, beautiful husband, in the LV, and written 4 books. Her latest book that she has just recently published is called I Am Her Daughter, and it's an extraordinary sort of exploration of her own healing journey, also being a mother, and also tapping into the powerful Mary Magdalene energies. So that's who Licia Berry is, just in a nutshell. And I'm not even, getting to the core of it, but really she is a spiritual master in her own right. And I've had the great privilege to basically provide that sacred space for her reinvention. So Licia, the first question that we have for you, what had you actually say yes to the Emerge program? Because you've already had so much going for yourself, so much richness, and a following, a loyal following. So what had you actually say yes to working with me in the Emerge context?
Well, so for the logical part of it, I'm going through empty nest. I'm going through midlife. I'm going through change of life, moving from motherhood as a 24/7 experience into empty nest. My kids have gone to school, and I'm reinventing myself. And so while what I was doing prior to this time was all sort of was perfect and beautiful, and building up this body of work, this body of knowledge, and building an audience, and just building, but doing it in a very organic way, while my first priority was my children and my family. Now I am ready to bridge into this different life, and one that's very full of richness and joy and sexuality and juiciness with my husband, who he's, been this wonderful father, and we've been so focused and serious, but now it's time for this new phase. And so I needed help to birth into that next evolution for myself, because getting okay with a change in identity is not easy, especially when you've been focused on that identity for a long time, and in my case, 20 plus years as a mom. So needed some help to see that vision, like through all that identity stuff, that was already there, to see the new identity. Now, the illogical stuff, the illogical reason was that I was totally following my gut, Sabina. When I connected with you, I recognized a woman who walks in integrity and who I could trust, because I'm very skeptical. I see a lot of people out there that talk about, leading you as a soul coach and, being able to be a spiritual mentor and all this. And, there are a lot of folks out there that haven't done the level of work that I require when I'm working with somebody. And I saw that in you right away. And I was like, okay, yeah, this is a sister. I'm gonna check her out. And it was great. It was a lot of fun and so worth it in every way.
Oh, wow. That is such a compliment to coming from you, because I mean, it is often very difficult for us spiritually evolved people to work with other mentors. We kind of like want to have sometimes somebody that guides us through these transition periods, but there's also sometimes a lot of like, maybe there's been disappointment. I know that I'm very, very, I'm not easy, to coach with. Like I sometimes yearn for a mentor, but I also know that because of how I'm wired and the spiritual connection that I have myself, it is oftentimes difficult for me to go into coaching or like that sort of like mentorship relationship, right? So I can relate to the skepticism and the challenge there. And so the fact that we were able to co-create, right, in this way, in this juicy way, was such a blessing, because I think as much as I also sometimes struggle with my own sort of coachability, I do know that we're not meant to do this work alone, right? That we are meant to come together in community, that we're meant to be witnessed and to have a different perspective. We're not always the ones that are seeing through our blind spots, right? So
exactly. Yeah. The work that I've done, the learnings that I've been given have told me that there's a reason there's so many of us on the planet. And one of those reasons is that we need each other. That we can do a lot on our own, and that of course, life is a journey that we have to do on our own, but that we can pull, someone together with us for a while to walk part of that journey. And trusted others, man, you can't price that out. It's priceless to find somebody that's complementary to you, equal in integrity, equal in honesty, equal in straight shooter, because you are a straight shooter. I did encounter you as a straight shooter. Like, you're like, if you saw something, if you didn't agree or you thought I was hiding, you called me out on it. You called bullshit on me, which I appreciate, frankly. And that's the kind of power I want to be on par with. That level of integrity is what I require in my life. And so, of course, I would choose that in a guide, someone to walk with me for a period of time. So, yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah. And it was a really, really, there are not many opportunities in our lives where we can go through a big transition like that. This is one of those moments when you are ready to birth yourself into your ultimate sort of identity, right? You've had a lot of journey material, the books, all of those things were sort of like that evolutionary crescendo, and here you were, right?
Yes.
And if you would have taken this creative momentum that was pushing from underneath, and someone would have liked to sort of like take it prematurely and marketed it this way or cemented it in that way, it would have all looked very, very different.
And I did that. I hired a business coach last year, and it took me in the wrong direction. It was so frustrating. It was a disaster. And it's not that she was not a good match in terms of that same depth of understanding and depth of soul. That's what all that I do and everything I've done has been building towards. It's like, this is just my next evolution, and it had to be somebody that had that level of soul. So who could see me with that, who I am, and all the years of of work and experience, you know. So yeah, anyway. So I'm a fan, I have to say.
It's totally mutual. I'm a fan of your work. And so what happens often is that we're stripping away all of those, like, business principles that often keep us stuck and in hiding. So
Right.
so talk to us a little bit about, since you have gone through the Emerge experience, and feel free to also share a little bit what that was actually like, going through that process of emergence, right, with that brand and that soul reinvented. And then talk to us a little bit also about what's happened since in your personal life, in your business life, and also in your partnership, in that multiple potential partnership with your husband, because you're also in business together as husband and wife, right?
Right.
What's been happening since?
Well, and that's been the next evolution, is, focusing on what do we want to create for this next third of our lives, at least, if not half of our lives, we hope. And so Juicy Sacred Living was the name of the brand that emerged through the Emerge experience, which is exactly perfect. It just nails exactly what it is that I do and what he does and what we can do together. It's the next evolution for us. So the experience itself, it was powerful. It was challenging at times. I'm a little bit like herding cats. It's hard to get me to follow along and be part of, like, follow the rules, Licia. That's not easy for me to do, because I'm stubborn and have my will, but I also am very strongly guided, and I was able to be within the structure of the Emerge retreat while still honoring what I needed to do for myself, and the awarenesses I came to were affirming things that I knew already, some things that were, I guess, I'd forgotten for a long time, that came back and were like, yeah, here I am. Oh, okay, I really am this. And very as if picking a piece of myself up off the floor that I'd left a long time ago. I think probably when I became a mom, that I needed to put something aside, that fiery, passionate self really came back again. There was just red everywhere, as you can see. Just red everywhere. Anyway, since then, since the clarity, and since, latching on with that joy, again, just reconnecting that passion and joy again for Juicy Sacred Living, which is like seeing life as though everything is sacred, which of course it is. We have had such an incredible experience. We're not even out of the gate yet. We just created our website. We just, are in the process of trademarking our brand, and we're just getting things going, and we just were hired for a VIP retreat. An international coach and speaker just hired us for a 3-night, 4-day VIP, help her prepare herself for her equal. She's yearning for her equal, her partner in life, and she's coming up. We're going to do it up in style, thousands and thousands of dollars, to get this VIP treatment, taking her to this special place, and we're paying for everything, and she's going to be completely taken care of, and get both of us and all the wisdom that we've, been able to bring to bear. And it's like, this is what we're doing. And it's not just for couples, this is, our work is about finding the sacred in everything. So it's like eating a beautiful meal and feeling the soul in the meal, or looking at a piece of art and seeing the presence, the soul in the art. Relationship, in intimate relationship, in family, in friendship, in relationship with the earth, with our body. It's so delicious. And so this is all coming together so quickly. And I think it's at least in part because of the clarity, surrendering to the clarity, not fighting it anymore. So we're happy.
Oh, that's so fantastic. That's so fantastic. Sometimes it's very, very difficult, when you have a business partnership, right? To sort of like come into that alignment of like, what is it exactly, right? So that everyone is starting to hum in that, purpose, in that vision. And I love that you said that you're not even out of the gate, and these opportunities and synchronicities and ideal clients are already coming out of left field. This has been my experience, and this is the consistent experience of all of my clients that are starting to implement and walking their talk, because it's like you come out with that soul purpose brand. It's like you're on fire, you have that joy, it is easy, it is just magnetic, right? And that's what everyone wants to, except we oftentimes miss the mark by getting too quickly into these marketing and doing principles. And just to give people an appreciation of what the power actually was of clarifying that vision for you guys, JuicySacredLiving.com, trademark your awesome juicy brand territory online. Give us a sense of like, what direction were you actually going into prior to this brand name, the soul purpose brand? I mean, you had a bunch of URLs, you had a bunch of ideas, but it was kind of sort of not in this sweet spot that you are now in together.
Another sexual reference. Woo!
Yeah, no surprise there, right?
Edit that out. There was a lot of other stuff, and it's not that any of the other stuff was wrong. It's like it was kind of all zeroing in, like the spiral, starting way out, kind of getting closer. But when we hit on Juicy Sacred Living, that you're right, it was the sweet spot. It was the center of the spiral. It was like there was some dancing going on to get to that, and I find this so often in entrepreneurship, that how frequently we kind of have to try on ideas and try on personas, and sometimes even mimic other people's work, as if we're trying to find out who we are. But then when you hit on what you really are, it's not an imitation of somebody else. It's this very unique combination that's your own song, and no one else is like that. You are completely unique, and when you do that, that's when the universe is like, here's everything that's been waiting for you. I just wanted you to get your song right. The universe could not, match me until I was able to show up in my unique self with my, business partner, my husband. So it was a different whole level of clarity that the universe could respond to, I guess, is a way of thinking about it.
And that universal, I love that soul song. And you start singing your soul song, which is really kind of like, the soul purpose brand is that melody that lets you hear yourself first and foremost. It lets you fall in love with your own melody, your own voice, and develop your own song. And when you do that, you are in this harmonious congruency with the universe, right? And, there aren't really any bad days in a soul-based business when you are living and building your and growing your business from that sweet spot. We can even honor cycles of hibernation, which was a very big piece for you. When you're writing your books, you're like in the bear medicine, right? You're like Mother Bear. You're like, sorry, but I got to go back into my cave now, right? And I have the same thing. Yeah. I sort of have to honor my introversion cycle, and then when I come out, I have a lot to give, but then I also have to come inwards again. So it's a very organic, very fluid way of being in business with your soul's guidance and your soul's power. Talk to us a little bit, like as a concrete example of what this actually now looks like, because I know that in 2 days you're going to be flying to staying there almost the whole summer for 5 amazing weeks. You're going on a spiritual pilgrimage. Share a little bit of what you're actually doing there and how that ties in with the Juicy Sacred Living, so that people can also, follow you and get to know your work a little bit more and come along, even if it's just virtually on this sacred journey that you're on.
So the primary work that I've been doing all these years is to support women and coming into their body and into their power as women. and not empowerment from an intellectual perspective, although that's a piece of it, but like full embodiment, a very Mary Magdalene kind of, theme, walking the earth as a spiritual being, but in your body as a woman, which is different than as a man in many cases. And so the book, I'm Her Daughter, which just went bestseller over Mother's Day weekend, in it, I talk a lot about healing the mother wound personally, but also culturally and globally. And so walking the land as an exercise to reconnect with deep feminine energy, not only the intelligence that is in Earth, this beautiful planet that is our home and our host, but the deep feminine that is fed and nourished in our own bodies, in our belly, and in our own soul by that deep connection, by that feeling of congruency with the big mama. Feel it in our womb and in our, that nourishes our creative expression. It nourishes our abundance, receiving of ability, our sexuality, our ability to be more joyful and heartful. It nourishes everything. And so it's very different. That's my work. So going to Europe, I'm specifically going to France, to southern France. And it's interesting because I don't speak French. I was never interested in going to France. I hadn't felt any draw to that. I would much rather go to Scotland or Mongolia or, where the shaman traditions that I come from, are alive and well. But I was guided to go to southern France. It was very specific to go this certain route across all of southern France, to walk the land and listen to what the land has to say in reference to how the feminine is still alive there, and to bring that back to my clients and my retreat participants and my readers, and teach about it, speak about it, but most of all embody it, so that when I'm with people, I can share that transmission. Does that make sense?
It's very powerful, very palpable. And for all of you listening this far into this conversation, can you all sense how important that is as she is reconnecting herself, listening to the feminine energies and voices in the land, weaving that back into our global tapestry in the medicine woman way, right? We were able to tune into that, how important it is for her to have the right sort of platform there. Because as all of these global connections are pouring in, it's very, very important to speak in terms of also Mary Magdalene, to have the chalice, to have that right container, right container to be able to capture all this amazing inflow and to weave it back into the right sort of invitations also then that lead to juicy sacred living retreats and the partnership and the individual services that you and your husband are offering, right? Can you see this is a once in a lifetime sort of like, crescendo, and we were able to co-create with your guides, with your soul, with also the greater purpose behind your book in such a sacred but also very savvy and strategic way. We have not explained to you how the Emerge experience works, because that's really not important. It's exactly what Licia said. The timing was right for her. She needed to sort of do a rebirth. She had tried out other things that were not bringing her to that sweet spot. They were detours. They made it more painful and more hard. And she just trusted her gut feeling, and she said, you know what? I'm just going to go for it. I'm just going to work with this crazy lady over here, and we'll see what emerges. And what would you have to say in closing now to other medicine women, other spiritual masters? Because I am here to invite those masters that are in an evolving, established business that need that reinvention, but can't stand having sort of mentors tell them what to do, because that's not me, right? What would you say to them? What would you say to them? Why for them to sort of like, listen to the clues if it's time for them to emerge?
that the process of uncovering who we really are is an organic process, and it can't be rushed. It can't be staged, but that you have the best chance of hitting the target through clarity with someone who understands and walks organic process, and that you are, Sabina, an ideal guide in that way. You know, we both honor very much the organic way of doing things, which is a very feminine understanding, and that you marry it, which is where Juicy Sacred Living goes, with the sacred masculine energy, which is the taking care of business. You bring the inspiration, you bring the container, the clarity arises, and then action. And that's where the union occurs. You know, I pointed to you a second ago because you were making this motion with your hand, and that is exactly what Juicy Sacred Living is about. And the trip that I'm taking is the bridge into union. I'm getting the feminine, marrying it with the masculine, with my husband. And so here you are, you're making this motion. It's like, this is, you know, you create an ideal container. And so while it may not be the process for people that are looking for the quick fix and who want to be like that, ching, 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 let's go create 7-figure incomes tomorrow, and, you know, that kind of marketing stuff, which I have not found to be in integrity for me. If they can trust the organic process, that this is the right move.
Wow. Thank you so very, very much for endorsement and for your role modeling, I look forward to hopefully being one of these days on a pilgrimage, on a feminine rebirthing pilgrimage with you. I feel very much like that's coming for me. Like I need to walk into this new way of being eventually myself, and hopefully next time you go to Sacred Lands, you can bring more people along. But in the meantime, I want to thank you so much for the privilege that we could actually co-create together. You know, I really want to let everyone know, and also you, Licia, I don't ever take it for granted that I get to be invited to come into these sacred creation moments with beautiful other souls. To me, it's a privilege. It's just such an honor. And I will always, always, always hold only the highest vision of your creation. And I see it fulfilled for yourself and for your clients, for all of the lives that you touch. Thank you so much, Licia.
Thank you, Susie.
From my heart to yours. Have a wonderful journey. Happy travels.